Hello everyone. Hi and welcome to my presentation. In this presentation, I'll be talking about my client Arijit and how we use the life role analysis approach to understand his life and career. Using this approach, we explored Arijit's past experiences, career choices, and what are his plans for the future. So let's start and see how the LRA analysis reveals Arijit's exciting journey. So let me walk you through our agenda step by step. First, I'll guide you through how I introduced the LRA analysis to Arijit and highlight the main areas we focused on. Next, I'll jump into some of the standout moments from Arijit's counseling sessions. These are the things he said that really caught my attention, and I'll explain why they matter. Then, we'll explore Arijit's future options, dig into what Arijit truly wants to pursue. And moving on, I'll share insights about the barriers we faced during our sessions and how we successfully worked through them. Lastly, I'll wrap up with my reflections on the whole experience of being a counselor in this situation. So, ready to dive in and get started? Let's go. Arjit and I had several Zoom calls to do the LRA analysis together, and to set a structure for the session, I let Arijit lead and direct the session, and I asked him what he needed from me. I found that this approach helped Arijit set the agenda and giving him the reins to direct the session, and it also helped in relationship building aspect of the session. From our conversation, I came to know that Arijit is a global supply chain consultant, but is seeking a change as he had been in the field for 20 years, and this indicated his perceived present. He's dealing with long working hours, around 11 hours a day, which leaves him with very little personal time. And at 41, he feels as if he's trapped in a monotonous life, dealing with challenges of city life. And this further reinforced his perceived presence. By far, the most enlightening part of the session was when we initiated the dream exercise, and he said that he sees himself working as a coach in the next 10 years. While he said that, I could see the twinkle in his eye from his body gesture. I could see how invested he was in the dream. He could see himself working as a coach, giving online lectures or in person lectures to people who really needed it. And like, what is procurement? How is it going to be useful going forward? And it felt as if Arijit was letting me in on one of his secrets and desires. And this was the most important part of the session as the client started to explore the opportunities from their own perspective. And he also mentioned living in the mountains in another 6 to 7 years and having some free time for pursuing his hobbies. This gave me opportunity to explore his options and a chance for me to participate in a story. In the later part of the session, we talked about what was holding Arijit back and what would he like to do in order to fulfill his dream. So we talked about practical steps that he could take, like saving money and networking with professionals to support his goals. And most importantly, these steps were initiated by Arijit, which further reinforced the relationship aspect and the self directed approach in the session. There were a number of statements that Arijit said that helped me uh, steer the sessions, and it also brought out insights about his desires. And these statements, I have listed them on the slide. He mentioned feeling excited and motivated for 3 years in his job, which he mentioned it as the honeymoon period. But now he's craving something new and different. This shows his yearning for change and variety, which I listed it as one of the important career values that he's looking for. Arjit's got an impressive 20-year background in procurement, yet he's eager for more. He wants a fulfilling path where he can coach, develop leaders, and contribute to the society. From this statement, I could see his dream taking shape as we went further into the session. When he spoke of fiery egos and calmer egos and how he wanted to dictate his own hours, it was clear that Arijit values his own authentic style and principles in his career, and he values honesty and integrity and is also looking for time and freedom. Our conversation in total revealed that Arijit's facing burnout and monotony, and he's on hunt for a fresh start that ignites his passion and promotes growth. As we moved further into the session, I dived further into Arijit's interest and needs, and we chatted about his inclination towards music and how he dreams of starting a music studio someday. Um, this idea could be a fantastic way to infuse some excitement and variety into his routine and to break the monotony. When I brought up the topic of networking and asked if he had connected with any professionals, especially in teaching or startups, Arijit shared his perspective. He mentioned building a professional network isn't easy. It's like being the ninth fish in a huge sea. And this made me realize his barriers and what's stopping him from achieving his goal. Arijit has got some exciting paths ahead that match his dream. He's considering teaching or coaching, possibly within his company for now, like for training sessions. A long term, he envisions launching his own business once he's established as a coach. He's already saving and investing in stocks and mutual funds for this, and he dreams of a peaceful life in the countryside or mountains in 6 to 7 years. He's already focusing on his financial goals, and since his company doesn't allow side gigs, talking to supply chain professionals through informational interviews could really help him expand his network and get valuable insights. So, as we got ready to make things happen and put our plans into action, I had a good talk with Arijit about what's holding him back from his dream of becoming a coach. And some of the barriers that he could come up with are listed on the slide. He's really craving a change because he's been doing the same thing for 20 long years and it's starting to feel like a repetitive cycle. So I suggested that he explore some personal hobbies to take his mind off things. Turns out Arijit loves using Smule, an online platform for singing, and he's even thinking about trying out different roles in the organization to have some variety. His schedule is super busy and he works for 11 hours a day, juggles many roles, and also takes care of important stuff. So I introduced him to the idea of SMART goals, where he can keep a goal and try to finish what's important for him in that time frame. We also chatted about setting clear rules for when work stuff can bother him during his free time. He mentioned that he gets lost sometimes about who to ask or where to find help, and luckily, he's no stranger to using ChatGPT. So I suggested he turn to it for advice if he ever gets stuck and see what suggestions feel right for him. And he's been doing this job for so long. And one of the challenges that he mentioned was that it's not easy for him to embrace change, especially when new people come in. So I suggested that he get to know the newcomers outside of work hours and extend the same to his previous colleagues. Grab a coffee or have a casual chat. Since he really wants to learn and grow, I asked him if he has taken any steps towards it, and he mentioned he has subscribed to Technical Guruji and Vishesh Lakhiani for updates. As I think back on our counseling session, I remember using techniques like active listening, asking open ended and close ended questions, summarizing when needed, all those that we have learned in the professional ethics in last sem. But there were a few things that challenged me as a counselor. One of the big challenges was time. We had to find a good time for both of us, so we decided to meet online. Arijit, the person I was helping, talked about things like procurement and other fancy words that left me a bit confused since I wasn't familiar with that language. So I did some research, and I think for future, I'm thinking of creating a folder with all types of resources pertaining to roles, responsibilities, just to give me a head start into the professions. Ajit is 41 and usually takes care of things on his own. I suggested he try ChatGPT to help him out. Turns out that he already uses it at work, just not for personal stuff. I told him to trust his instincts when he searches. He liked the idea and it made him trust our counseling even more. Our sessions ran a bit longer than planned, and I had to understand why it's important to really get what we are talking about. It's like valuing quality over more than just the amount. And I realized I need more practice to smoothly shift from exploring things to dealing with challenges. It's all about finding the right flow. I really enjoyed using the life rule analysis method during my client session. It gave me a clear plan to start exploring the client's experiences and thoughts, and it was like having a helpful guide so I can concentrate on the important things the client shared. It felt very natural, like having a friendly conversation, and I felt a strong bond with my client as we dive deeper into the values, beliefs, and what truly matters to them in life. It helped me connect the dots between the stories that the client told, and I could see common themes in what he said, which was a significant realization for me. It works well with my counseling style, as I often start off with a friendly conversation and ask questions about where the client envisions themselves in the future, maybe 10 years from now, and what their dreams are. I combine this with a SMART goal approach from Who You Are Matters. The only downside was that it did take quite a bit of time, so I think it's more suitable for private sessions where there's ample time to explore deeply. Structured sessions like the ones at my placement at Access might not provide the needed time for this approach.